Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing? My name is Nina. I am a crystal healer and Toltec shaman. I'm from Crystal Sun Healing. And this week we are back to our energy grids. So last week we finished off the crown. And so I'm going to crown energy, which I'm curious for those who have been following along, how has the crown energy been working out for you? It was very interesting, like a very interesting practice when you work with the crown energy is it's allowing the energy to flow through you. And also recognizing when you're not grounded enough to receive the energy that is flowing through you. When you're not grounded, it becomes very overwhelming, and then you close your crown, and then it's just like a domino effect thereafter. But that's why we have the daily practice of going every day to our energy grid and speaking our intention and just taking a few deep breaths and adding a little bit of our energy to the grid to remind us, to bring us present of our intentions. And so this week, we are going to move on to the higher heart. Now, there really is no actual mandala for the higher heart. I actually just went online and I was inspired by what I saw, and then I kind of created my own little thing from what I saw. So really, the mandala is what it represents to you. For those of you who are just joining in, please hit the like button and please share and say hello in the chat room. Tell me where you're joining in from. I'm here in Mexico, just sharing these little bits of wisdom. Let me see if I can turn down this light just a little bit. Okay, so this is the higher heart chakra. Where is the higher heart chakra located? So you got your heart here, and you got the higher heart here. It's also known as thymus, or the etheric heart, or the sacred heart. Whenever you see any of the great avatars, and they have that fiery heart, right, that's like on fire with like wings and fire coming out of it, that's representative of the higher heart. So the thymus. So I'm gonna see if a few more people are gonna join in, and if they're not here soon, then they'll just have to rewind and start back over. But hello, Tamara, so good to see you again. So once again, we have been journeying through the chakras, all the chakras. I have drawn each and every one of these, putting a lot of my intention into each and every one of these, and I'm building upon it. And now we went to the crown. Now we're going to go to the higher heart, or the thymus. And the thymus is pretty interesting. But before we jump into the thymus, I want us to take a moment to grab our pieces of paper, grab our crystals, grab our gridding board, your main crystal. I'll be working with lots of kunzite. I have 2 chunky kunzite pieces right here. And if you want to know more about kunzite, I've done a video on kunzite, so you can look that up. And then I'm also going to be working with spirit quartz, and I'll tell you why in a moment. And once again, my Herkimer and and my feeder quartz crystals, which I'm grabbing right here. Yes, so my feeder quartz crystals right here. I also got some fresh lavender. I just went outside and I picked some fresh lavender. And you know what? I'm going to work with the Danburite, because Danburite amplifies everything. And since we're working in the higher frequency, the higher chakras, I'm going to keep working with this Danburite piece right here. And what's really cool is that it's got these inclusions that look almost kind of green. So anything of the green frequency is really going to help support the heart. Okay, so as we get started, let's go ahead and get settled. Let's get comfortable where we are. And close our eyes and let's just take 3 cleansing breaths together. Breathing in through our nose. Exhaling, breathing out through our nose. 2 more times. Breathing in. Exhale, breathing out. Last time, breathing in. Exhale, let it all go. And let's take our hands, rub them together, get them nice and warm. And since we're working with the thymus, let's place it right on the thymus area. Breathing into the space. This is a very fascinating space, and I'm excited to share more of what it's about tonight. But first, I want you to ask your thymus, where is it at? What are you feeling? Does it feel open, closed, underactive, overactive? Just tuning into the subtleties of this region. If you get any visualizations, great. Keep note of that and maybe add it to your mandala. Okay. So, thanks, Verity Stone. I appreciate you for showing up and showing some support. All right. So here we have the Higher Heart Mandala, or my interpretation of the Higher Heart. Now, the Higher Heart, or the thymus, is very fascinating because it's one of the lesser talked about chakras. It's literally like the bridge between the body and the soul. It's like the connection. And a good way to activate the thymus is you can gently tap it. You don't want to tap it too hard because it can get sore. But it's a good way to activate this area whenever you're trying to connect to your higher self or any of your guides. What's really fascinating is there is a strong connection between a child from 0 to 7 years old with their parents in their thymus gland. So it's almost like their inner compass, like the parent is connected to the child through the thymus gland, like spiritually. And then when the child, it reaches that age 7 mark, which, they're the 7 years of development, and it takes on more of its own personality, then it becomes more in contact with their higher self, okay? So there's that aspect. It can also be represented by like the shoulders, arms, hands, breast, the diaphragm. When you have an underactive thymus, you can have intimacy issues. And when you think about the word intimacy, into me, I see. So before you can be intimate with others, you have to be able to be intimate with yourself, which is not an easy feat. And so if you want intimacy issues, you want to look at your thymus gland, all right? The thymus also is responsible for the immune system. Whoa, that's a big one right now. So it's almost like collectively, with the whole world, we could all be doing some higher heart work. It's the center of it. It's the immune system and the lymphatic system. So the thymus gland helps to support the thyroid, and there's a whole physiological process that goes with that, which I'm not going to get too deep into right now because I am more so metaphysical and spiritual. But bring it back. Working through your thymus gland, this is where you have access to your dream time magic, okay? And it allows you to be able to embrace higher frequencies of love. So this is your place of compassion. This is the place of like sacred love. This is the place of like universal love. This is where people sometimes will say we connect with cosmic consciousness or Christ consciousness. or source consciousness, whatever you want to give that name. This is all through your thymus gland. And it's a very pure energy. If the thymus is overactive, this is where you sometimes have issues with boundaries, like your higher heart is overextended. And so boundaries with others, with yourself. Another one is if, and I know this has happened to quite a few of you, if your friends are calling you up and saying, hey, you were in my dream, and you weren't trying to be in their dream, and you're just like unintentionally dream walking in other people's dreams, your thymus gland, your higher heart chakra is like super overactive. So those are some symptoms or signs of an overactive. Underactive is like fear of intimacy, and just cold, like lacking compassion and empathy. And of course, open and close, those are pretty straightforward. It's also access to your DNA, okay? The thymus really, what's the word? The thymus literally leaves an imprint on your DNA, okay? So that the body knows how to replicate itself. Like I said, it's your immunity, so like cells are replicating themselves. It's ruled by Chiron and Pluto. So Chiron is like the wounded healer, and Pluto's transformation. Let's see. The plants, rose, jasmine, ylang ylang or lang lang, for non-French speakers, motherwort. So basically in lavender, basically a lot of the high frequency flowers are the higher heart. Then we have kunzite, rhodochrosite, morganite, which is pink emerald, pink tourmaline, and its element is pretty etheric, okay? Some mantras that you can write or consider. I am in connection with my higher self. I trust the intimacy I have with myself. Intimacy is beautiful and it's safe. I have strong boundaries with myself and others. I surrender my fears and limiting beliefs. So those are a few examples of the mantras or affirmations for the higher heart. I chose to put this atom in the middle because that's kind of like where it all begins. And so it's like, this is where it all begins. And the 3 petals. So we have our grid board, all right? We have our mandala. I place my mandala on top of my grid board. For those of you working with the shapes, let me pull up the shapes again. This week, I am going to be working with this one because I want to bring mine into balance. Because if you are a peace-loving healer, then there's a good chance that you probably have an overactive thymus gland, or it just needs to be brought back into balance. So some areas may be underactive and other areas may be overactive. And so higher heart, I'm working with that. And let's see. And for those of you who are not aware of what the different shapes represent, the square represents stability and building. The spiral, it can spiral in or out, okay, to build energy. The heart, well, I mean, it's for relationships and love and healing. And the triangle is masculine. The circle is feminine. Of course, you have the flower of life that contains all the different shapes and sizes of sacred geometry. The This is the flower of life for those of you who don't know. And then the center of the flower of life, you have what's called the seed of life. And the seed of life is where it all begins. And so what's interesting is when you think about science and the atoms and things like that, once again, you see that seed of life, same concept repeating. And so I'm also working with the seed of life, as well as the interlocking triangles. The interlocking triangles, which bring balance, okay? So with that, I put my shapes on the bottom, my mandala on top, and then I have my primary crystal, okay? And for those of you who are just joining in, please hit that like button and let me know where you are joining in from in the chat, please. So I have my giant quartz right here. This is my primary crystal. I said I was working with kunzite. Kunzite is so good for healing, so good for, it's just like balm for the heart. It's just so nurturing. Like if you go through a heartbreak, or if you just need tenderness and softness, or if you just want to really support and nurture the higher heart, kunzite is an excellent stone for that. And so I'm going to put kunzite here. And I have my other kunzite, which I have a necklace of. And I'm going to put my other piece of kunzite here. And then I'm going to work with spirit quartz. So spirit quartz, it's got pink and purple in here. And so those are very higher heart chakra colors. And spirit quartz acts as a bridge between the physical and the spirit realm. And of course, like I said before, the higher heart acts as a bridge for the body and the soul. So I'm going to be using these bridging crystals in my grid so that it can foster a stronger connection between myself and, my lower self and my higher self. However you want to define that. Some people, I'm just going to leave that right there. Damberite, to amplify. I'm sorry, my mind just went blank. Herkimer, because Herkimers are excellent. They blast and clear out any types of blockages, and great all-purpose stone, nice and hard, and I'm going to use that in my grid as well. So if there's any blockages that I have in my higher heart that I need to work with this week, the Herkimer is going to help support that. Then I have my pieces of lavender that I'm going to be placing in my grid. More lavender. More lavender. 3 pieces of lavender. So I'm also working with the numerology of 3 to support. So that's another layer that you can add on to in your grid. Working in groups of 3 or groups of 4, depends. Like if you're working with a square, then you can do 4. If you're working with the interlocking triangles, then you can do 6, which is still 3 in a sense, but you're just kind of doubling up on the energy. Same thing with 9. You're just tripling up on the energy. Here are my feeder crystals. So now I've got my quartz. I'm just going to place them in such a way so that they go facing the center. So everything is nice and charged and generated. Awesome. So now I've got my grid. Okay. I know this light might be a little bright. Let me see if I can. There we go. And so I have all my crystals. I have my primary crystal. I have my secondary crystals. And then I have my tertiary or my supporting crystals. All right. And then I even added in the plant energy to support because lavender is really good for sedating. I probably do not want to stimulate my higher heart chakra any more than it has been. I just need to bring it back into balance. Balance is the key. So you don't want anything to be too overactive and definitely not too underactive. You want it to be right there in that sweet spot. And then next, of course, I have my pendulum. And with my pendulum, I'm going to use this as the activation point. So you can use your crystal, you can use an extra crystal, or you can use your hand and ask to be connected with the divas of these crystals or the consciousness of these crystals, okay? And with my own presence, we activate this grid. And it's also good to add a circle of protection around your grid so that external energies don't come in and just really contaminate it. But if you're tending to your grid every single day or as often as you can, then you should consider clearing the energy and checking the energy. And so it looks like the energy of my grid is really powerful and fully activated. So I'm going to, pendulum is also really good for diagnosing the strength of how energy is flowing as well. So this is my higher heart grid. It's very pink and purpley. Green is another great color. A lot of times the higher heart is affiliated with green and pink. Your regular heart chakra is green. Your higher heart's got pinks in it. And sometimes even some of the purples. And it really helps to support that bridge between soul and body, or spirit and body, and spirit and body. So let me know if you have any questions. Put something up in the chat. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know how your previous grids have been going. I'd love to hear from everyone where you're checking in from. And I'm going to put this down. And so next week I'll be releasing another crystal video. And then after that, the following week, we'll be moving on to another chakra. So I haven't decided which one yet, but I'll let you know. Probably, yeah, I'll let you know. So Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Central, CST. You can find me live on my channel. Please like, share, comment below. And if you feel gratitude in your heart and you feel like you get anything from this, I do have posted in the comments, the chat, where you can leave a donation. And so any and all is appreciated. And thank you. I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. Bye.